Hello everyone, my name is Coach Kat. Welcome to another seated exercise. Today we're going to be working on moving our legs a little bit, stretching them out. I'll be performing the exercise, and then after I show it, we'll do it together. And today, instead of doing reps, we're going to do it by time. So we'll be doing each movement for about 30 seconds. But before we get into the workout itself, we're going to start out with some warm-ups. So starting out with some ankle rolls. We have the option to just hover our leg here while we roll out our ankle, or if it would be more comfortable, we can always cross our leg over, finding a bit more support and stability. So we roll our ankle out one direction, and then roll it the other way. Five more seconds here. And then finding stillness, maybe uncrossing our legs if we chose to, rolling out that other ankle. Again, we can keep our foot just lifted, or we can find more support, putting our foot up on our knee or maybe on our leg, helping us support ourselves. So we roll out our ankle. 3 more seconds this way. And reversing the motion, going the other way. Really trying to point those toes up to the ceiling and down to the ground. Getting a full circle for 5 more seconds. And find stillness. So we'll plant our feet down on our mat, on the ground. We'll plant our feet down on the ground as we find our knees over our heels here, finding a tall, flat back. The movement we're going to be doing is just lifting our knee up slightly, finding some seated marches. So we'll do that together here, alternating lifting our knees up slightly. Doesn't have to be too high, just really working on starting to warm up our legs today. We'll revisit these seated marches again later. The second time we'll find these again, we'll be holding them instead, finding that lift and holding. So really starting to get our glutes ready and our hip flexors ready, warming them up with our marches here. We'll move for 10 more seconds. Awesome job. Finding that stillness again. We're going to find some leg extensions for our last warm-up. So this for us can look like just extending our leg a little bit, or maybe if our mobility allows, extending our leg further out and up, really squeezing our quad with however high we choose to extend our leg. Just extending that left leg here, reaching our foot out at whatever height feels best for us. Trying to work on keeping that tall seated posture for 5 more seconds. And switching legs, moving to our other one, extending it out. Again, option to really extend up high, or we can stay lower with our foot, using whichever intensity feels best for us. But again, really squeezing that quad when we get to that full extension, firing it up, warming it up for our workout today. Two more seconds. And finding stillness. Now that we're all warmed up on our lower body, we'll get into our workout. So our first exercise of today I'll show, and then we'll do together for 30 seconds. So we're going to plant our feet down, really finding a stable base. Our feet are about hips width apart here. Depending on our space and our chair, we have the option to either grab onto our chair, or maybe we grab onto our legs. We're finding a stand here. So we're going to alternate from a standing position and coming back down to a seated position. So we have the option with our hands to support ourselves on our chair, or maybe on our legs as we press up, or maybe we'd like to challenge ourselves holding our arms out. As we stand up and as we lower down. So again, choosing whatever variation feels best. We'll do it together for 30 seconds, getting our feet set, finding our stance. In 3, 2, 1, go. Standing up strong and slowly coming back down. Really trying to work on moving with control, finding that slow movement. Knowing that if we need to change the variation we're doing, we can totally do that too. Really squeezing those quads, and time. Found our 30 seconds. We'll sit back down, giving ourselves a little bit of a breather while I explain our next exercise. So, like I said, we were going to be revisiting those marches. Here they come again. So today, for our second set of marches, instead of just alternating back and forth, what we're going to do is we're going to lift our knee, hold for a second, and then lower. So lift, hold for a breath, and then lower down. So we're really going to feel this up here in our hips more so, helping to strengthen our hip flexors while we lift our knee up, hold, and then lower down. So finding that stable base again, planting our feet down, 30 seconds together. In 3, 2, 1. Marching that one leg up, holding, and lowering back down. Our hands can be resting on our legs here or on our chair, giving us whichever support is most helpful. Really trying to keep a tall, flat back, finding a good seated position. Actively pressing our planted foot down while we lift our other knee. And time. 30 seconds, just like that, flew right by. So for our next exercise, go ahead, take a breather, let your legs rest. We're going to be working on our abductors. So we're going to scoot to the front of our chair a little bit more so that we have more space to move our hips side to side. What we're going to do is we're going to extend our leg out at an angle, tapping our heel down, and then bring our foot back planted. So we'll alternate tapping our heel out and then bringing our foot back to where it was before. So while we're doing this movement, really trying to focus on these sides of our glutes. We're going to feel them contract when we try and scooch our foot all the way out, and then feel it release when we come back in. So 30 seconds, alternating tapping our heels side to side and knowing it's okay if this is as far as we can go. It doesn't matter how wide we get our heels out as long as we feel that squeeze in our glutes. So we'll do this together here in 3, 2, 1, go. So hands can be resting on our legs or on our chair again. Tapping those heels out to the side, bringing our foot back, out, and back. Squeezing those sides of our glutes, feeling them firing up while we tap out. 5 more seconds here. And rest. Let our legs relax for a moment. Maybe shake them out a little bit. We've got 2 more exercises here. So our next one is going to be calf raises. Planting our feet hips width apart. Really making sure that our heels are under our knees here. As we exhale, we're going to come up onto our toes, flexing those calves. And as we inhale, we'll lower our heels down. So just lifting up onto the toes, lowering down for 30 seconds. We can do that. In 3, 2, 1, and go. Lifting to the toes, lowering down. Moving with our breath here, keeping it slow and controlled, avoiding rushing through them. We're halfway there. 5 more seconds. And rest. All right, we have one last exercise here together. So when we did our sit to stand, we were really working on all the way extending up high. This time we're going to be hovering. So again, we have the option to place our hands on our chair, on our legs, or keep them out in front of us, choosing whichever variation is best for us. We'll plant our feet down, hips width apart, and as we exhale, we're going to lift up out of our chair just an inch, and then lower back down. Really small movement of lifting, holding for a second, lowering back down. As we lift, we're really squeezing our glutes together to help us lift up, and then releasing while we lower. But again, know we can always hold on to that chair to help us, or we can also plant our hands on our legs if that's helpful as well. So planting our feet down, hips width apart, last exercise. Let's do it. 30 seconds in 3, 2, 1, go. Lifting to a hover and lowering down. Lifting up slightly, squeezing those glutes, lowering back down. Really feeling our quads firing up as well, helping to lift us up. We've got 5 seconds left. And rest. Great job. So we'll find our cool down here after working our legs hard. We can sit back in our chairs, finding a comfortable position as we cross our right leg over our left knee, or maybe if this feels difficult to get our foot all the way up high, bringing that foot across our shin instead. So we start to hinge forward until we feel a stretch through our glutes on that right leg. Really letting the chest come forward. Holding this here. Stretching out for 5 more seconds. And coming up tall, we'll uncross our legs, switching over, either bringing that leg to our calf here or all the way up to our knee. Hinging forward, finding that glute stretch on our other side. After they worked hard to help us stand and sit back down. This is a really good stretch for us because we sit a lot as well. 2 more seconds. And unhinge, bringing our foot back down again. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to straighten both of our legs out as much as we can. It's okay if there's a bend in our knees here. Placing our hands on our legs, we're going to start to walk ourselves down just until we feel a stretch through the backs of our legs here. So if there's something in front of us that we can hold on to, that would be helpful as well. Definitely feeling free to grab onto a counter, or maybe we keep our hands on our legs here. Using whatever helps us find the most balance while we find this stretch through the backs of our legs. Holding here for 5 more seconds. And then walking back up, unhinging. We'll then find a quad stretch here. So we have the option, if there's nothing underneath our chair, we can bring our foot under. Obviously, I've got a little friend down here. But you can bring your foot underneath the chair so that your knee will be facing down toward the ground. Or if, like me, you've got a little bit of stuff going on under your chair, you can always stand up and instead place our knee on the chair. So we find that 90-degree angle, and then we're going to press our hips forward until we feel a stretch through the front of our quad. So same thing if our knee is down on the ground, pressing our hips forward until we feel a stretch through that quad. Holding this here for a few more seconds. And releasing that. If we're sitting down, switching our legs, and if we're standing, same thing. Finding that 90-degree bend, alternating our legs. We'll press our hips forward again, finding that stretch through the front of our quad. Feeling that release. Holding here for 5 more seconds. And releasing. Feeling free to sit back down, taking a moment to thank ourselves for moving our bodies today and working out our lower half of our body. Thank you all so much for joining me. Again, my name's Coach Kat. Hope you all have a great rest of your day.